Hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you. You are watching the channel South City PCMB. This channel is for all the students who want to achieve their academic endeavors, and we teach all the chapters of all the subjects in this YouTube channel. This channel is free for all. You can please consider this channel for your studies. Let's begin today's class. My name is Dhanu Verma and I will be teaching you chapter Light for classes 4 and 5. So let's begin. Okay, introduction to light. First of all, we will study what is light. Light is a form of energy. We see different objects around us due to the presence of light. Without light, everything would look completely black. That's why light is very important to our lives. I think we all know those basics. Let's start with the next slide. Types of objects based on luminosity. Now I would like to first introduce this term to you, which is luminosity. What do we mean by luminosity? It means anything that can emit light. Okay, so we are categorizing the objects based on whether they can produce light or they cannot produce light. Alright, the first is luminous objects and the second is non-luminous objects. Under luminous objects we will study natural and artificial. Okay, luminous objects. Objects that emit their own light. Luminous objects are things that give off their own light using some form of energy. That energy they already possess. They do not need the external amount of energy to emit this light. They do not need any other source to be seen because they shine by themselves. It means that, for example, you can look at me because there is light in this room, right? But these objects like the board, you can see the board without the light too. Why? Because it emits its own light. These objects helps us to see in the dark because they produce light. Without luminous objects, we would not be able to see anything when there is no sunlight. So when after the sunset, you would not be able to see anything if there were not luminous objects in our lives. Okay. Types of luminous objects. Now we categorize luminous objects based on two categories: natural and artificial or man-made, which are made by humans. Natural. Natural luminous objects are objects found in nature that give off their own light. They do not need any external source of energy to emit light. Artificial or man-made. Artificial luminous objects are man-made things that give off light. They need external source of energy to emit light. We will further explain this in the next slide. Okay. Let's see some examples of natural luminous sources of light. First is the sun. The sun is the main source of natural light on earth. All living things depend upon the light from the sun to survive. So this means that sun is the main source of light, main source of natural light. Okay. The sun does not need electricity. The sun does not need battery. It has energy of its own, and that is why it is able to produce or emit light on its own. Okay. Stars. The stars are natural luminous objects that give off their own light. In the night sky we can see the stars. Do you think the stars are powered by a battery? Of course not. They also have their own energy, and that is why they are able to produce light. They shine brightly in the night sky even though they are very far away. The light from the stars appear dim because of the long distance between the earth and the stars. So like the sun burns. Okay, we all have heard that sun is a hot ball of fire. It burns because of its energy. Similarly, the stars also burn because of their energy, right? But we can see a lot of light from the sun, but very dim light from the stars. Why is that? Because of the distance. The sun is relatively closer to the earth as compared to the stars. That is why we see the stars that are as very small and the light as very dim. Okay. Bioluminescent objects. Now let me tell you what are bioluminescent objects. Luminescent you understand. What do you mean by bio? Bio means anything that is living in this case. Okay. So Some of the living things also produce their own light. These living things that give off the light naturally. For example, firefly, glowworms and jellyfish. You can see the firefly is emitting light of its own, the glowworm is emitting light of its own, and the jellyfish is obviously, you can see, emitting light of its own. Examples of artificial luminous sources of light. Now we will see artificial. Like I told you, artificial is also man-made. We can also write it man-made. Okay. Candle, bulb and lamp. Now how are these able to emit the light? Like the sun, the stars and all the bioluminescent objects, the living things, they had the energy of their own, right? But these artificial or man-made things need some external source of energy. For example, this candle. This candle cannot burn off on its own if we do not provide this wax. All right. The bulb. How do you think the bulb shines? Because of the electricity from here, right? Electricity. That is the source of energy. Okay. Lamp, again, same. It gets electricity and that is why it is able to work on its own. It emits light. Non-luminous objects. Objects that do not emit light, they reflect the light. Now, reflect, this term will be explained further in more detail. Light from luminous sources. Most of the things around us are non-luminous. We can only see them when light falls on them. For example, this pen. You can see this board even in the absence of light, even in the dark. Why? Because it is an artificial luminescent object. But for this pen, if I close all the lights of this room, you will not be able to see this pen. Why? Because it is a non-luminescent object. Okay. You can see this pen right now. Why? Because it reflects the light. The light from the source is falling on this pen and that is being reflected and reaching our eyes. That is why we are able to see this pen. Okay. Examples of non-luminescent sources of light. Chair, book and table. We all know these objects. They do not emit light. You can only see them when there is a source of light near the object. Okay. Types of objects based on transmission of light. Now, transmission, what do you mean by transmission? It means if it allows the light to pass through it or it does not allow the light to pass through it. Okay. Let's see. First, transparent objects. Objects that allow light to pass through them clearly. You can see through them. Why? Because the light is being passed through them. Okay? Objects that allow light to pass through them clearly. Okay? First one is glass. Second is water. Third is air. Now right now, between the camera and me, there is air. You can see me clearly. Why? Because air is a transparent object. Next, translucent objects. Objects that allow light to pass through them partially. Partially means not completely. It allows light to pass a little bit. Okay? For example, see this frosted glass. Can you see this frosted glass? Here is a person walking. You can see his legs or her legs completely. Why? Because this is normal glass. And right now, in the previous slide we saw that glass is a transparent object. But this is frosted glass. Okay? It is frosted. This frosted glass is a translucent object. It means you can see some part of it, but not completely. Similarly, you can see this hand clearly. But once the hand is under the paper, this is the butter paper. Once this hand is under the paper, you cannot see the paper, you cannot see the hand clearly. That is why it is a translucent object. Similarly, thin fabric. This fabric, there are some fabrics through which you can see partially, not completely. Okay. Opaque Opaque objects, objects that do not allow light to pass through them. Light does not pass through them at all. They block the light in their way. For example, dice, we all know. We all play with this dice, apple, and also human beings. For example, you can see this board right now completely, right? But if I stand in the way, what happens? A section of the board is cut out. Why? Because I am an opaque object. The light from the board is not passing through me. I am stopping the light. Okay? That is why I am an opaque object. All human beings are opaque objects. Chalo. Properties of lights. Light travels in a straight line. Now this is very interesting. See how there are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cardboards and they have a small circular cutout, right? This one does not have. This acts as a screen. Alright, this is a screen. Now once all the holes are aligned, in this cardboard, the light from this torch passes straight and reaches the screen. Okay, but if one of the cardboard is shifted upwards, light travels from this hole, but it does not travel because it is not bending. No, this does not happen. It does not bend. It travels in a straight line, and that is why it stops here. If it was, for example, sound, it would travel, although you would not be able to see it, but it would travel and reach this particular place. But light, because it travels in a straight line, it will not pass these holes if they are not lined properly, and it will not reach the screen. Next, light can form shadows. We all know this. Light, this is a source of light. Okay, for the shadow formation, we need a source, obviously, source of light, an opaque object. All right, and a screen. These are the 3 requirements for the shadow formation. If there is no source, then no shadow formation will take place. If there is no opaque object, if it is a transparent object like air or water or glass, no shadow will be cast on the screen. Alright? And the screen, obviously, because the shadow has to form on a screen. It cannot form in the thin air. Okay? Next, reflection of light. Reflection of light is when light bounces off a surface and changes direction. Now this I said that I will teach you in the slide. So this is the slide we were talking about. See, from the source, light rays fall on an object. Okay, this object reflects the light. Please see, it is reflect. Okay, it reflects the light and it reaches the observer. Okay, that is why you are able to see all the objects that are non-luminescent. That is how you see non-luminescent objects. Why? Because of reflection. Also, in the mirror when you see yourself, you are able to see yourself because of reflection. Okay? For example, I consider there is a source of light. Okay, this is the sun. It's a source of light, and this is a mirror. Light from the sun is falling, light from the sun is falling on this small girl, okay? And this light is getting reflected back on this mirror. That is why an image is formed on the mirror. Right? Now the rays from this image are being emitted from the mirror and they are reaching the girl's eyes. That is why she is able to see herself. Okay, so reflection is happening here also. That is why her image is formed, and reflection is happening here also. Okay, that is why she can see herself. So there are 2 reflections for you to see your image in the mirror. Okay, let's move on. Refraction of light. In the earlier slide, we studied reflection of light. Okay, this is refraction of light. Refraction of light is the bending of light when it passes through water, air or glass. It means that when light is traveling in a particular medium and it changes its medium. Medium means the environment in which it is traveling. Okay. if it is traveling, for example, we take this as air. Obviously, you can see this is a prism. For those of you who don't know, this is made of glass. Alright, when light travels in this air and passes through this prism, all the lights deviate from their original path, and that is known as refraction. Okay. Now what is this? This is actually white light. This is actually white light. What is white light? The light which is emitted from the sun. That is the white light. Now, it passes through this glass prism and it splits into these 7 colors. That is why VIBGYOR is formed. Alright? Same thing happens for the formation of a rainbow. Okay? White light comes from the sun, of course, and this is a raindrop. Okay? In raindrop, first at this point you can see this is refraction. Why is this refraction? Because this is the point at which medium is being changed. Right? This is air, this is water. So medium is being changed. When medium changes and light is traveling, what is it? Refraction. Okay. So from the air, it enters the other medium, which is the water. Here refraction is taking place. Can you see what is happening here? This is nothing but reflection. So what is this? This is reflection. Right? Can you see this again? At here, what is happening? The light, after being reflected, is traveling from water to air again. That is why we call it, you guessed it right, refraction. Now can you see one thing? Here, red is on the top. Here, violet is on the top. Okay? So, in rainbows, any color can be on the top. It can be red or it can be violet. Why this happens, you will learn in classes. Conservation of light energy. We should conserve light energy because most things we use comes from electricity, and making electricity often uses natural sources like coal, gas or oil. These resources can run out one day and also cause pollution. By saving light energy, we save energy, protect the earth and reduce electricity bills. Obviously, for the generation of light, we burn a lot of coal, a lot of gas and a lot of oil, okay, and which obviously produces a lot of pollution, and we do not want that. And light energy is free of cost because we get it from the sun. And what did we study? It is the main source of light. This is free. You can generate a lot of electricity from sun instead of burning coal, gas and oil for the electricity. Okay. These are some examples of the things which can be used instead of your these are the things which can be used instead of your coal or oil or gas run machines. For example, we all know what are cookers, right? It runs on gas, LPG cylinders that we use at home. Instead of that, you can use a solar cooker. Okay, it uses sunlight energy. You can see the example, the photograph here. Solar heaters. We all use heaters during winters. It uses electricity. You can use a solar heater for this. And solar panels. Obviously, this is very popular nowadays. You can generate a lot of electricity from solar panels if you install this at the roof. See, you can see this is a house and this is the roof of your house. It is installed at the roof of your house and it generates a lot of electricity instead of your general electricity that we get. Okay, let's quickly recap this chapter with the help of a quiz. Okay, first question. What is the main source of natural light on earth? Moon, stars, sun and bulb. Now if you are confused, natural light it is saying. First let us narrow down our options. Moon is natural, stars are natural, sun is natural, bulb is not natural, it is man-made. But it is asking main. Yeah, you guessed it right, it is the sun, because it is the main source of natural light. Which of these are luminous objects? What are luminous objects? That emit their own light. They do not need energy from anybody. Okay, they do not need energy from anything, electricity, your cells, or any other machine. They emit their own light. Chair, book, candle, or ball? Yes, you guessed it right again, it is candle. Light always travels in a, we have studied this, there were 4 cardboards, there were 3 holes in it, one was a screen, then we moved 1 cardboard above it. Yes, it was a straight line. Which of the following is an artificial source of light? What are artificial sources of light? These are also man-made, right? Okay. Sun, luminous. Stars, luminous. Electric bulb, luminous. Firefly, luminous. But we do not make the sun. Sun is natural. Stars are natural. Firefly, natural. Obviously, it is the electric bulb. What is it called when light bends while passing through water or glass? We have done this. Reflection, refraction, absorption, rotation. Now, if you are confused between the two, please remember, when it passes through another medium, it is known as refraction, not reflection. Okay? A mirror shows your face because it absorbs light, reflects light, blocks light, eats light. It reflects light. If it would absorb light, you would not be able to see yourself. A material that allows some light to pass through but not a clear image is called. Remember, there was a man walking and I showed you the frosted glass part? Yes, you guessed it right. It is translucent, not transparent, not opaque. Frosted glass is an example of, we just did it, it is translucent. What is one simple way to conserve light at home? Use more bulbs, keep lights on all the time, turn off lights when not needed, use candles instead. So, turn off light when not needed. Why? Because candles also use a form of energy, and I told you that was wax. And we do not want to waste anything. That is why this option is correct. Okay, so we have come to the end of the chapter. Thank you for watching. Please follow us, subscribe, share, and if you liked this lecture, please give us a like and a comment, and I will meet you in the next chapter for science. Dhanu Verma signing off. Thank you so much.